I didn't spend a lot of time working for this on how to get on Zoom. You guys come into Zoom every month. So you're familiar with at least how to get into Zoom and how to move around. So I wanted to focus on a few other areas of it. For example, now that you're all going to have a district Zoom meeting or Zoom division Zoom account, the district won't be setting up your meetings for you, and you will have to do that. So to start, you will log into your Zoom account. Here at Meetings, you will select Schedule a New Meeting. And then it's kind of fill in the blank. Give it a name, type in a description, select your time, duration. Duration isn't essential. If you go over the hour, it's not going to shut you off because it's a paid account. It just, in the invitations, will let somebody know how long is anticipated. Time zone is very important. Oops, sorry about that. Time zone is very important. Make sure it's the right time zone or people will be going to your meeting at the wrong time. If it is a recurring meeting, for example, if you were to meet on the first Monday of every month, you could set that then and just make it a recurring. It'll go on your calendar for as many times as you set it out to do. One thing, for example, my Club Tower Talkers meets twice a month, second and fourth Thursday. The system does not allow me to choose second and fourth Thursday. I would have to make that 2 separate meetings and ongoing in order for that to work. Meeting password. Unless you are restricting it, for example, a closed club might restrict theirs and say if you don't come in with this password, you can't come in. Other than that, I can't think of a reason to require a password, but that's up to you. This is where you would set the password and alert your potential participants on how that works. The next line looks at the video. The default is to set them both off. What this means is that when you come into a meeting with this default setting, everybody's camera is automatically off and each one would individually turn theirs on themselves. That can come in handy because things can be a little weird if people just come right in and their camera automatically goes on. The audio question has to do with how will people do the audio portion of the meeting. Will they only be using the telephone? Will they possibly be using computer audio? The best selection is both. Christy is a very good example. She uses her computer for the visual and she uses her phone for the audio. So you'll want to keep both of those clicked. There are a number of other options that you can set. Record the meeting automatically. If you are going to record your meeting, make this your generic setting when you set up the meeting, and you don't have to worry about, okay, did we set the record? Is it still recording? Back and forth. That will automatically start as soon as the host enters. Well, actually, as soon as anybody enters. The other one to consider, and this will come in handy for you as divisions sharing out the account. And that is called Enable Join Before Host. And I'll show you in a little bit why that can be very essential for you. Make sure you hit save. If you do not hit save, you're going to come back in here and retype all that. And I'm not going to tell you how I know that. Once it has been saved, you can go right up to the top and start the meeting right now, even if you set it for a different time. You can also automatically add it to either your Yahoo, Outlook, or Google account. Down below a little further, you'll see where it says the URL. I always just copy that URL and put it in my calendar so that I can go right to my calendar, and get it started. But off to the side, it says copy the invitation. If you hit copy the invitation, then you get a whole bunch of information. Because people can go ahead and call in on various phone numbers. So by simply clicking copy meeting invitation, it will go to your clipboard. You can then open up any email, paste it right in, and send it to whoever you like. And then if you look over here, you'll see that the new meeting just created is right there. Now we're talking about you having a division account. There is a way, if you just give everybody your account login, you're giving them also all of the account information, which will include renewing, credit card information, personal information, all that kind of stuff. There is a way to get around not sharing that. You would still have to create the meeting, but you can give something else out to the others to use and not give out your login. On profile, if you go to the profile and you look at the screen, down towards the very bottom, you see that it says host key. And this is so secretive that it doesn't even show up on your screen unless you hit the word show. Once you hit the word show, make a copy of that. You'll use the same number all the way through because this number won't change. So you can take that number and give that to, for example, all of your area directors or a club president that's going to use your account. Then what they will do after you have created their meeting, they can go in to the meeting, type on the participants icon on the menu bar. I don't know if you've noticed that, but if you look down at the bottom of your screen right now, there is that menu bar, and there's something that says participants. If they click on that, there will be a line that says claim host at the bottom of that list. If they click on that, a pop-up will come in, and that number that you just saved from your profile page, they can put in here and tap OK. Now they are the host. You did not have to be at the meeting to get it started, and you also did not have to give the account information if you choose not to. That's the main part about getting the meetings scheduled. Little bit about controlling the room. We all know the etiquette thing. Stephanie announces it to us every time. They should be announced at the beginning of every meeting. Of real importance, especially in club meetings, is to let people know that it's being recorded if you are. Now, if they look up in one of the upper corners, they will see the word recording, but sometimes on the smaller screens, you may not see all that. So you want to make that very noticeable. And all of the other same information that Stephanie gives to us every month. If you click on the word participants, you will see a list like this. When I took the screenshot, I was the only one in there. If you can see that someone is having a lot of background noise, you can hit mute if they do not mute themselves. You also see down below where it says mute all. That was the feature that I used earlier in the meeting. You can also unmute all. You can't quite read that. Here you're giving permission to, if you do click on mute all, what the blurry screen says is that you give them permission that they can unmute themselves. If someone calls in on the phone, and sometimes even though they're not using computer audio, there will be some feedback back and forth from it. So if someone calls in on the phone, ask them to click on the up arrow beside the word or beside the microphone and click on Switch to Phone Audio. That then takes their phone number off the screen actually and combines their phone in with their video, and it all works together. I don't know how it does it. It worked last night tremendously. You can make another participant a host. If you've gone in, if one example might be, if you are having connection problems and you're afraid that you're going to be kicked off and you are the host of the meeting, it's a good idea to make somebody else the host so that if you get kicked off, the whole meeting doesn't necessarily end. You can also rename a person. Well, why would you rename someone? If perhaps a family has their own Zoom account, so they come in and it might say the Jones family, or it might be Sam Jones came in, but it's Carol Jones that's on there. A rename, you can rename yourself, or the host can rename somebody else. So change the name to coordinate to the person who is in attendance. It's also a good idea sometimes to consider using the rename for yourself or other participants when you're having roles being filled. Tom Smith - timer. Stephanie Schrader - speaker. Rick Chandler - Toastmaster. Whatever role you're hosting. That also kind of helps with the visual and keeping everybody connected online. Is that totally confusing? Any questions so far?
No questions, but some of us are hands-on, so I'm looking forward to more training.
Okay, I do have, and I'll share the link out. I went ahead and just quickly made up some very quick videos on how to be the timer, how to be the speaker, and a very down-to-earth for people who have not used Zoom before. Here's how you get into the meeting. Here's how you get out of the meeting, and here are some little things to do inside the meeting. And then I'm putting some more together now, but that's all I got together this week.
TerryAnn, this is Andre. I have a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, phenomenal. Thank you so much. Phenomenal job.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you can rename as the host,
Yes.
a label. Does it revert back to what it was if you as the host do it versus the person that owns the account, or would you have to change it back also?
You mean if they come back in it for another meeting?
Right, so say if it's a family account, or say if you're using Reed's account and you change it to TerryAnn, when Reed goes back in to use it, and say if the host changes it to TerryAnn, when Reed goes back in to use it the next time, will it still say TerryAnn, or will he need to change it back?
I believe that is only for inside this meeting.
Okay.
Now, it is possible when you first click on join the meeting, if instead of join meeting, you were to hit sign in because maybe you have a free account out there, then you that point, if you change a name, it will stay until it's changed. But this will only be in effect inside the meeting.
Okay.
And TerryAnn,
Yes.
as far as the district account and what will happen likely with the division account is it will have a name, and every time I start a meeting, I have to go change it so that it says me instead of District 22. The division directors will need to do that as well because it'll say Division F or Division A, Division T. They'll need to change for their name.
Yes, if they log in with that, yes, it will. Now, if that person does not appear and you give that key out so somebody else comes in and is your host, the district name will not show up anywhere. Or the division name will not show up. But yes, that is the account name, so it will work like that. Anything else?
TerryAnn, this is Christy. When I'm putting in an alternative host, I get an error message that says that email address is not a user in your Zoom account, or I've seen the error message that they don't have a Zoom account.
I never
Christy,
use that.
I can answer that. To have that function work, you have to pay extra money. So you don't do it at the beginning when you're setting up the meeting. You can make them an alternate host once you open the meeting. Or you can give the login information to the person, or that key that TerryAnn was talking about, that they can, but that costs money to do that at the bottom when you're setting up a meeting.
Okay, alrighty, thank you.
Using that line is like saying that you have a second user, but these accounts are only a one license user, so that's why I won't accept it.
Yeah, I think I was looking into that earlier. This is Dan Jarman. And if you set it up online in the meeting when you first create it, if you set up a co-host, they have to be a pro user or higher. So that's why it would say that. So for example, if a district meeting was being set up, and we've got division leaders being as paid users, then one of those division leaders could be set up as a co-host at that point.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Anything else? In the event that the vote was to do the evaluations, I created a quick section on breakout rooms, but since that's not needed, is there anything else that you need that I didn't address that you would like addressed?
This is Terry Burns. Will we need some kind of breakout meeting though? Well, never mind. Judges training should be done before the contest.
Right, it will be done before the contest.
Okay.
You're still going to want a breakout room to do the ballot counting though, probably.
Will you? Okay. I'll go quickly through the breakout rooms then if you like.
And I would assume that'd be one way to do it so they can all get together and talk.
Okay. Well, then let's move on. Breakout rooms. In order to have breakout rooms, you will have to set this up in your original profile that you are going to allow breakout rooms. If you have given permission for breakout rooms, a place to find them, I don't think you won't see this, but whoever is the host will see this. When I click on more, then breakout rooms is an option. And you'll also notice it does say live on Facebook, live on, if you decide, you can also take your meetings live this way. I've not done this, I've not practiced with this because I don't like the live stuff. I want to be able to edit. So I can't give you any more information on that, but it is possible to do it. You will create breakout rooms and you have an option then to automatically or manually. And for this particular situation, you will want it to be manual. The question, when is it automatically? When that would work, if you were having a club meeting and you were going to break them up into, we're just going to generic random groups to discuss this and then come back together, then the automatic would just pick and choose for you, but you'll want to go manual. You can do a countdown for, okay, when you're going to close it down and give them a few seconds to finish up and get out. The main thing you'll want to check is allow participants to return to the main session at any time. So that at any time that they are ready to come in, they can come back. If you want to control when they come in, then be sure to uncheck that. You'll have your list of breakout rooms and be able to assign. I only had one person in when I took this screenshot. Only one person was in with me. So if we had our 35 names, all 35 names would appear in breakout room number 1, and just go check whichever ones you want to go in there. I did not get a screenshot of it. There is a place when people are in the breakout rooms to broadcast a message. And the people inside the breakout rooms would get this message. The people in the lobby would not, but the people in the breakout rooms would. But we learned in practicing this, if they do not have a full screen, they may miss the message. It is possible for the host to pop in and out of breakout rooms. So the host could pop in and say, hey guys, we need you back in, and then pop back out.
Hey, TerryAnn.
Yes.
This is Darren Yarbrough. Just a quick question. Just to follow up on probably one of the questions that Terry was thinking of a second ago. As far as the judges go, we can brief them in advance, of course, in a different meeting. But when they're watching the contest, do you do the breakout rooms as a way to collect the ballots? Or how's the collecting of the ballots done?
I will let Dan Arbuckle address that.
Okay, thanks.
There's a fillable form that I have that needs a tweak or two that they could submit to the chief judge and the ballot counters. I mean, if you send it to all three, that way you're sure that they're going to get where they're going. Just send them by email. We need the printed name and the signature, just like we would in a regular in-person contest. So the judges could also fill out their ballot, sign, print, make their correct selections on first, second, third, take a picture of it or scan it, and then send that to those three people for whichever contest it is, whoever your chief judge and ballot counters are. The timers would also need to send their ballot to the chief judge so that you have all that information. That's where the breakout room can be handy. The people have the information, they can share their screen to show it, they can do their counting, then they can actually do the record of who's going to advance and send that document on to the contest chair so that they can forward it on to me for the district level.
Great. Okay. Thanks. Quick question too. Would you recommend they send it through? Is there a way to send a document or an attachment through Zoom, or you recommend that they go outside of it and send it through email?
I would do email, but TerryAnn, can you answer the document through Zoom question? I've never sent
you
documents
can.
through Zoom.
Yes, you can. Look at chat. I'll bring up your chat right now. Well, it won't. I can't get into chat while I'm sharing my screen. At the bottom of chat, you will see the word file. And you can attach a file there, and I believe you can send it individually.
I'm not seeing that option.
Well, maybe it's just the host then. Just a moment.
I'm thinking it must be the host, TerryAnn, because I don't see it either.
You don't see it either. Okay, then you can't. It's been my account in the last several that I've done, and it was on each one. So I guess it's only the host that can do that. So.
Okay. So we do it through email.
Email may be best. And something you also want to think about from a communication standpoint is you need to give, say, I'm your contestant or whatever, timer judge. You need to give me another method of communicating other than Zoom. So maybe that's email, maybe that's text. So that, if I'm the timer and I lose my connectivity, I can then text the chief judge or whoever that designated person is saying, hey, I'm having problems. And then you need to figure out if that problem's big enough to cause you to need to delay the contest or not. And there's instructions that TI has that as we figure out who's doing what for each contest, we'll make sure everybody has all the information they need. And we may need to do another Zoom call just to fine tune things and answer questions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? I know that was not comprehensive, just a brief overview just to give you an idea of what's out there. There's an awful lot of things.
Thank you, TerryAnn.